Could the appointment of Miss Braverman as the Home Secretary be the most controversial in recent UK history? This question has been a hot topic ever since she took on one of the most significant roles in the UK government. As the Home Secretary, Miss Braverman is charged with a myriad of responsibilities that directly impact the lives of the people. From law enforcement and immigration to national security, the Home Secretary has a wide influence. But it's not the responsibilities that have made Miss Braverman a contentious figure. It's her hard-line stance on these issues that has sparked divisive cultural debates. Her approach, often seen as staunch and unyielding, has stirred a cauldron of mixed reactions from the public, political enthusiasts, and even her colleagues within the government. One cannot discuss Miss Braverman without mentioning her approach to law enforcement. She has been known to adopt strict measures, often leading to raised eyebrows and heated debates. Her views on immigration have also been a bone of contention. She has been unrelenting in her determination to halt small boats carrying migrants across the English Channel, seeking asylum, a move that has been met with both support and fierce criticism. Her ideas on national security are no less controversial. Miss Braverman holds that national security should be uncompromising and that no stone should be left unturned to ensure the safety of the people. But this has not been without its detractors. Critics argue that her policies, while promising security, often infringe on civil liberties and rights. But perhaps the most controversial aspect of Miss Braverman's tenure as the Home Secretary is her rhetoric. She has been known to use language that fans the flames of controversy, leading to tense and often explosive cultural and political debates. But the controversy did not stop with her appointment. The saga of Miss Braverman's tenure as Home Secretary is a tale filled with twists and turns, and it's one that we will continue to unravel as we delve deeper into her career and the controversies that have marked it. Miss Braverman's tenure was already off to a rocky start when she was fired over an email scandal. Now, this wasn't your run-of-the-mill email scandal. No, this was a breach of government protocol that had significant implications. It all started when Miss Braverman, then newly appointed as Home Secretary, sent a government document from her personal email address to an unauthorized lawmaker. A rookie mistake, some might say, but one that carries a hefty penalty when you're dealing with sensitive government information. The document in question wasn't just any document. It was a classified government document, the contents of which were meant for the eyes of authorized personnel only. But against protocol, Miss Braverman sent it from her personal email address, bypassing the government's secure servers, straight into the inbox of an unauthorized lawmaker. This was a clear breach of the rules that govern how sensitive information is handled. The fallout was swift. The incident was investigated, and Miss Braverman was found guilty of breaching protocol. The consequence? Dismissal from her role as Home Secretary. Her tenure, which had barely begun, was abruptly cut short by this scandal. The dismissal was a shock to many. After all, Miss Braverman held a crucial role in the government with significant responsibilities related to law enforcement, immigration, and national security. Her departure left a significant void in the government and raised questions about who would step into her shoes. But the shock of her dismissal was nothing compared to the surprise that followed. Despite the scandal, despite the breach of protocol, despite the dismissal, Miss Braverman was soon reappointed as Home Secretary. This decision drew criticism from both the opposition and Parliament's Public Administration and Constitutional Affairs Committee. However, the story did not end with her dismissal. The email scandal was just the beginning of Miss Braverman's controversial tenure as Home Secretary. But we'll get to that in the next scene. Stay tuned. In a surprising turn of events, Miss Braverman was reappointed as Home Secretary. This unexpected comeback raised eyebrows across the political spectrum, triggering a wave of criticism from various quarters. The opposition was swift to express their disapproval, questioning the rationale behind this controversial reappointment. They pointed to the email scandal that led to her dismissal, arguing that this breach of trust and protocol should have disqualified her from holding such a high office again. The opposition also expressed concerns about her hardline stance on immigration and national security issues, fearing that her return would only further polarize the ongoing debates over these contentious matters. It wasn't just the opposition who were discontented. Even within the Parliament, The Public Administration and Constitutional Affairs Committee voiced their objections. The committee, tasked with maintaining the integrity of public administration, highlighted the need for accountability in government offices. They underscored that reappointing a former Home Secretary who was dismissed for a breach of protocol sends a wrong message, undermining the importance of adhering to official procedures and maintaining the confidentiality of sensitive information. The reappointment of Ms. Braverman also sparked debates among political analysts and commentators. Some argued that the move was a calculated risk taken by the government to leverage her tough stance on immigration and national security. Others, however, saw it as a political blunder that could potentially erode public trust in the government's capacity to uphold transparency and accountability. Yet, despite the backlash, the government stood firm on their decision. They defended the reappointment, emphasizing Ms. Braverman's expertise and experience in handling the critical issues that fall under the Home Secretary's purview. They argued that her past mistake had been dealt with appropriately, and that she had since demonstrated her commitment to performing her duties with diligence and integrity. Despite the controversies, Ms. Braverman's journey was far from over. As she resumed her role as Home Secretary, she was faced with the daunting task of navigating the turbulent waters of British politics while grappling with the contentious issues that have defined her tenure. And as the saga unfolded, the nation watched on, its eyes fixed on the Home Secretary and her next move. Ms. Braverman's stance on immigration policy sparked intense debates. This is a statement that rings particularly true when considering her support for a controversial plan regarding asylum seekers. This policy, first introduced by her predecessor Priti Patel, proposed an unusual approach to managing individuals who arrive in Britain by what the government deems as illegal, dangerous or unnecessary methods. The plan involved sending these individuals to an unexpected location, Rwanda. Yes, you heard that right. Rather than processing asylum claims within the UK, the government aimed to shift this responsibility overseas. The intention was to discourage dangerous crossings of the English Channel, a journey that has claimed many lives. Ms. Braverman, in her role as Home Secretary, was a staunch advocate for this policy, viewing it as a tough but necessary measure. However, this proposed solution did not sit well with everyone. Critics argued that it was inhumane to send vulnerable individuals such a long distance away from the country where they sought refuge. They also questioned the suitability of Rwanda as a location for processing asylum claims, citing concerns about human rights and the country's capacity to handle the influx. As a result of these concerns, the policy is currently facing a significant challenge. It is being brought before none other than the UK's Supreme Court. Here, the legality of this policy will be questioned and scrutinized. Its future and the future of those it would affect hangs in the balance. The debate surrounding this policy is emblematic of the contentious nature of Ms. Braverman's tenure as Home Secretary. It is a reflection of a broader societal conversation about immigration, asylum, and the lengths a government should go to control its borders. This policy, much like Ms. Braverman herself, has become a lightning rod for controversy, criticism, and heated debates. It has forced a confrontation with difficult questions about compassion, responsibility, and the very nature of asylum. And yet the controversies continue. As we move forward, the debates around Ms. Braverman's policies and actions promise to remain a critical part of the political discourse. As for the plan to send asylum seekers to Rwanda, only time and the Supreme Court will tell what its fate will be. Ms. Braverman's words have often led to controversy and unrest. Her rhetoric at times has been the spark to light the tinderbox of tension. One such instance was her characterization of pro-Palestinian protests in London as hate marches. Despite the largely peaceful nature of these demonstrations, her words painted a different picture, stoking unease and division. Not stopping at that, Ms. Braverman went on to publicly criticize the London Metropolitan Police Service's handling of these protests. Her comments, far from quelling the situation, only served to fan the flames of dissent, leading to heightened tensions and eventual clashes. In a twist of irony, her incendiary remarks rallied far-right groups who heeded the call to descend upon London. The result was a volatile mix of confrontation with the police and multiple arrests during an Armistice Day event. Miss Braverman's tenure has indeed been fraught with controversy. From email scandals to immigration policy debates and now inflammatory rhetoric, the landscape of British politics remains a battleground. To recap, Miss Braverman's tenure as Home Secretary has been marked by numerous controversies. The damaging email breach that led to her initial dismissal is one that stands out. Despite this, her reappointment to the position has raised questions about the government's decision-making process. This action has drawn criticism not just from the opposition but also from Parliament's Public Administration and Constitutional Affairs Committee. Moving on, her unwavering support for the contentious immigration policy of sending asylum seekers arriving by small boats to Rwanda has stirred up a legal storm, with the policy currently under scrutiny in the UK Supreme Court. Lastly, her inflammatory rhetoric, such as her labelling of pro-Palestinian protests as hate marches, has also fanned the flames of cultural and political debates. This rhetoric has led to escalating tensions, confrontations with the police and numerous arrests. It remains to be seen how these controversies will shape Miss Braverman's legacy as Home Secretary.